Even on the hard days, man, I can't complain. I still live and breathe.
Hello guys, David and Waylon here. We've been out for a while, due to a sport injury, but we're glad we're back. A little shout out to my nephew Hero. Thank you for watching us. But yeah guys, I've been out. I really miss walking my morning walks with Waylon, and I also miss talking to you guys. But we're back, and hopefully we can continue. But that got me thinking. There's always different seasons in our lives. Some people call it chapters, but whatever your season is, I want to remind you to enjoy where you're at, because time does fly. I remember when I was younger, I couldn't wait to grow up. And one of the things is that when you're younger, for some reason, time doesn't fly. It drags on. But once it starts, especially once you graduate high school, man, hang on. I remember thinking back and thinking that I was never gonna get to where I wanted to get, and now here I am at the end of my not the end of my life, but I'm retired. But basically all my goals, all my dreams have been fulfilled. And one thing is, I praise God through all that, because He's the one that made everything come true. I often tell my brothers at church, my fellow veterans, I tell them, hey, if I were to die today, I would die fulfilled, satisfied, happy, joyful. Why? Because God made all my dreams and desires come true. And that's no credit to me. But one of the things that I often tell people is that the only thing that, not that I have left, but that I'm looking forward to is, of course, my grandkids. And I have no control of that, so I just enjoy day to day. Yes, I'm retired, but I make every day count. And that's what I want to talk to you about today, that no matter where you're at in life, make it count. A lot of times we get, first of all, overwhelmed by life and overwhelmed by the problems and stresses that we have, daily stresses, the bills, the how am I going to do this, how am I going to do that. But at the end of the day, enjoy where you're at. I try to enjoy every day. Like I said, even though I'm retired, everything I do it for the Lord. And I believe that's what adds substance to your life and helps you to move forward. That everything you're doing it for the Lord. For example, I'm walking, but yeah, I walk for my health. I ain't getting any younger. But the main reason is to glorify Him, because I know He's called me to declare His truth. And how good would I be to declare His truth if I'm sick in bed, or can't walk because of my knees, or because of certain illness. Now, I'm not saying that if you're sick or down, you can't be a witness for God. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, me personally, what He's called me to do, I need to stay in good health. I need to watch what I eat. I need to get out there and exercise, do my daily walks and work out and stay engaged. You know, the enemy, as I mentioned many times, is a liar. He will get you to believe that you are no good to anyone. You know, for you not to even try. Because what is it all good for anyway? You know, today I was reading the book of Ecclesiastes chapter 3, and you know, I was looking at that whole chapter and how it talks about seasons in our lives, and you know, at the end of the book, at the end of the chapter, he talked basically about how we can't control the seasons we're in. Only God can. But the key is to enjoy them, to make the best of them. You know, to make the best out of your season. I remember when my kids were younger, and we would take them to their doctor. You know, he would always tell us, take pictures, because they'll grow up before you know it. And so, you know, in a sense, I wish I would have listened to him. Yeah, we did take pictures, and we do have videos of our kids when they were younger. But, you know, I wish I would have taken a lot more pictures. And, you know, not only of my kids, but in life in general. You know, I know when I was in law enforcement, you know, I did take a couple of pictures, but you know, one of the things that looking back at those pictures, I wish I would have taken more pictures with my coworkers, my partners, my friends, because yeah, I did take pictures of me and my dog and me in certain cases. But one of the things that, looking back, you know, I wish I would have taken, like I said, more pictures of my buddies, my friends. But I am glad that how I lived my life through those chapters, you know, in law enforcement. You know, to me, it wasn't just about law enforcement. It was about the other guy. It was about the partners. You know, I joined a peer support group, and I was also a chaplain while I was in law enforcement. And yes, I did my law enforcement duty. You know, I was even a dog handler for about 10 years, and I enjoyed that. I really, really enjoyed that, especially my first 5 years as a dog handler. I mean, we were out on patrol, and, you know, those are fun memories. But through that, I allowed God, you know, in my life, and He used me. He used that position, and I was able to bless others. And those are the memories that I have now, you know, where we were being effective, not just for law enforcement, but for the kingdom of heaven. And so that's what God is calling you to today. You know, first of all, you know, we're not robots. We're not Christians by force. You know, I was reading the other day how we are God's workmanship. You know, He's working in us. He's not done with us. But I tell you what, we are co-laborers. We are co-workmen, working in the kingdom of heaven. You know, we are here to bring others in, because on Sunday I was telling the people that somebody, somewhere, somehow prayed us in. Somewhere, somehow, somebody labored to get you into the kingdom of heaven. So, oh, what an opportunity, and what a blessed, just being part of the kingdom and being able to bring others in to know Jesus, just by your life, you know, by what you do every day. So next time the enemy brings you down and makes you want to feel insignificant, don't let him. He's a liar. You are making a difference. I don't care if it's, you know, one story at a time, you know, one visit at a time. You are making a difference. And that's why the enemy attacks you. And that's why he makes you feel insignificant, because he wants you to believe that you're not making a difference. That's why depression comes in. Hopelessness, despair. All those are attacks of the enemy. But do not allow him. You know, the more difference you're making, honestly, the more you're going to get attacked. But rejoice, because he who is in you is stronger than him who's in the world. So again, just enjoy your season. Don't allow the enemy to blind you or to steal that joy from you. Rejoice. Keep on doing what you're doing. I promise that in due season, you will reap a harvest if you don't give up. So I pray this little talk has blessed your day. Thank you for joining us. Again, may the Lord bless you, keep you, and make his face shine upon you with favor. God bless you guys.
Even on the hard days, man, I can't complain. I still live